Hey HBs, you're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap the plot of romances while giggling, snorting, being the most, and loving the genre. We're going to start this week out with a Patreon shout-out. Caitlin K., you are a kaikidri, an angelic species in Greek mythology who dwells near the sun. The sight of you is so mesmerizing that woodland creatures spontaneously break into song when they lay eyes on you. Kind of like Snow White or Cinderella, except you have the head of a crocodile, the feet and tail of a lion, and 12 wings. You are also rainbow-colored. It's said that you wake every day with the sun and sing a song, causing all the birds in the world to sing with you. You basically spread happiness and wonder wherever you go. So rock on, you beautiful angel of positivity. We've got tons of bonus content waiting for you on our Patreon, including extras from my time with Suzanne Park. She talks all about her background as a stand-up comic. So, today we've got a little surprise for you. We're taking a quick pause on our reading list because I am joined by author Suzanne Park to recap Clueless, the 1995 classic. Here we go. Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yay! I'm doing wonderful. Hello, listener. We have a special episode for you. I am here. This is Melody. I am here with Suzanne Park. She is a debut author. She has both a YA romantic comedy and a contemporary women's fiction novel out. And we're going to recap Clueless in a minute. So I'm really stoked.
Me too.
Suzanne, you just told me this is your first podcast.
Yes, this is my very first podcast. I am super excited about it. I've never just had an audio-only medium to talk and say hello and talk about things. So this is going to be very exciting and new for me.
Yeah, totally. It's shocking to me this is your first podcast because, like, you've been on BET and, like, NBC.
Yeah,
you were a stand-up comedian and you've never done a podcast?
I've done even a radio interview way back in the day, but not a podcast. I just skipped that sort of era, I guess, and leapt over it. But super excited to be here.
Wonderful. All right, so tell me about your books. Tell us about your books.
Okay, well, I have two books. One's released. It's the young adult book, and then I have another one coming out in August, and that's a adult romantic comedy. So the young adult book came out in the spring, and it's called The Perfect Escape.
And it has a zombie-themed escape room involved? You guys, her books are nerdy deliciousness. Okay, I'm not going to step on you anymore. Keep going.
It's totally fine. I'm trying to think of like the best pithy way to explain it because it is very nerdy and different. It is a romantic comedy. It's about a Korean-American teenager named Nate Kim, and he meets his dream girl at a zombie escape room where they both work. They both have a desperate need for money, so they think it's a good idea to enter a survivalist competition together that has a huge cash prize. So two teenagers surviving the elements in the woods a whole weekend. What could possibly go wrong? And that is the young adult book. And then the one coming out soon is the workplace rom-com set in the video game industry.
She's a video game designer, you guys, and her name is Melody.
I know, and it's so funny because I saw that you had the same name. I was like, wow, did she like have this cosmic connection with this book? Because and she has a Melody personality, I think. So
brilliant. I know. I saw in part of your press kit that you were like, she's not like a wallflower at her job. She's in it to win it.
Yes, she is underestimated at work, and that is part of the whole theme of the book. It's a Korean American video game producer. Her name is Melody Ju, And she is tasked with releasing a controversial video game, all while being antagonized by everyone around her, especially the company's new MBA intern, who happens to be the CEO's nephew.
Yes. Ooh, boy.
Drama.
It's called Loathe at First Sight because this is an enemies to lovers, correct?
It is an enemies to lovers.
Oh, wait. And I'm so sorry. I have to make you tell them the premise of her video game that she designs in the book. Is that okay? Is that a spoiler?
I don't think it's a spoiler.
I don't think so either. Okay, tell them all about it.
In a jokey sort of way, she's having a conversation with another coworker, and she is talking about the types of video games that exist that are pushed out by their company, and it's all about busty women who have machine guns and things like that. So she thinks it's funny if they had a video game. She thinks it would be funny to release a video game that is almost the flip of that, where it's a bunch of male strippers who emerge during the apocalypse and realize that they have to survive, and there are all these warrior women out there that have guns and just all this ammo and just are the ones that have to help save them. And so the whole concept is, it's supposed to be, a funny conversation in passing, but it ends up turning into their next big release.
I mean, so it's a super funny conversation that turns into a super funny real life scenario. And I love it. Oh my gosh. Magic Mike Zombie Apocalypse is one of my favorite premises I've ever heard in my life.
I might have to use that. Yeah. Magic Mike, we should have a podcast just based on the Magic Mike movies. So maybe next time.
I have told multiple people Magic Mike XXL got me pregnant. Literally. My due date ran right up to the day I saw Magic Mike XXL.
Oh my gosh. Have you gone to Vegas and seen the Vegas show of Magic Mike? I forgot what it's called, but it is the Magic Mike show.
I haven't seen that one. However, when I was 21, I took a trip to Vegas with a friend, and we went and saw Thunder from Down Under. And the firefighter came over and stood on my table, poured water all over himself while standing on the table I was sitting at. And then he took my glasses off my face and rubbed them all over his package. I was in literal heaven. I don't care how mad people get about that use of the word literal. It was literal heaven.
I think I've actually seen the Chip and Dale's one. Is that the same thing?
Get it.
Thunder? Okay, yeah. So I think
so Thunder from Down Under is just the Australian one.
Oh, okay. So I did the Chip and Dale's one for a bachelorette party a long time ago, and that one was, I don't even know how to describe it, except the scenes that I do remember are these guys in these patriotic, I guess, spandex, and they have their hats on, and they're playing patriotic music in the background, and then sparklers fly, and then they rip off their clothes, and then there's like more skimpiness underneath. And
yes,
I remember thinking, like, that is very hilariously American. Being in Vegas and seeing this music play to big fireworks, and then just seeing the show. It's very, it was my patriotic duty to watch that.
It really was. Not to mention the mental gymnastics we have to do to get around, like, disrespect of the flag in all the ways that we do things like that is so funny to me.
I just was like, I can't believe this is happening, but it is so fascinating. And it was amazing. It really was. Yeah. But Magic Mike show, I don't know if it's still running, but it is, or will run, but it is more, it's interactive.
Oh, what a treat.
Where they, some of the dancers just come up to wherever you are. So if you're in the front or in the balcony, wherever, they actually kind of walk around and perform.
Listen, if I go to a Magic Mike show, I expect somebody to pick me up by my ass and whip me around like Channing Tatum would. Right. I need it. Who's going to hump me on the ground at a Magic Mike show? Somebody needs to.
Somebody.
Jeez, I've got expectations after those movies. I don't know. Okay, but we digress because both of your books are Own Voices books, right?
Yes, they are. They're both feature Korean American protagonists.
And then if I remember correctly, they are interracial relationships as well, right?
Yes, these
that's
two
cool.
books are interracial relationships. I have 2 books coming out next year. One is also the young adult is interracial, and then the adult book is a Korean female and a Korean male. So
cool.
that will be, I guess, non-interracial.
That's cool, though. Yeah, that's wonderful. And then, just because this is a romance novel podcast, can you let our listeners know the level of steam they should expect? I mean, I'm guessing I know in the YA novel, but I want them to know for the women's fiction.
Sure. I grew up watching romantic comedies from the 90s and early 2000s and mid to late 2000s. So, I was heavily influenced by them as I developed and wrote both of these novels. So it's more of an emphasis on the calm as well as the rom. So I would say it's if it was a heat level scale of 1 to 5, I believe they're both 1.
That makes sense.
Yes. So it's more on the sweet side. And then because of the nature of the work environment for the adult romantic comedy being in the workplace, it's very misogynistic. That has different sort of parental guidance warnings,
Oh, absolutely. Well, and she deals with online harassment too, right?
Yes.
As well?
Yes. So she's called names. She is also tries to fight back and then has interviews where she just addresses all of these comments that she's been given in a nice pithy way.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though it's sort of summarizing it and it's conveyed in a lighter hearted way than would be her really processing the things as they happen.
Sure.
It's still very, I would say it would probably be a higher level than 1.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I love a good verbal takedown, I will say. It's one of my favorite things. All right. Well, speaking of your influences, you chose a movie for us to recap. Why did you choose Clueless?
Clueless is one of those movies that I remember really enjoying as a teen. And I remember thinking maybe if I rewatched it, I would find more things wrong with it in a funny way. But,
totally.
You know how things age or just don't age well. And
yeah,
I really thought this movie, I didn't remember it as well. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember how hilarious these lines are or whatever. So I picked it.
Yeah.
Because I had a feeling it would still be relevant, but there would be funny things that happen in it that feel very old fashioned or dated. So I think it was a good movie in that sense. I do wish I hated it more because there would be more things to say. I mean, there are things that are funny, but, if it's a movie that you really don't like, there's a lot more comedy around just making fun of things. But I will say that my young adult book coming out next year, it was partially influenced by this book. So it's loosely influenced by Clueless. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to watch it, because I was going to watch it anyway. And then, had this opportunity. So it worked out perfectly.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. There are definitely some things that we'll get into that don't age well, but overall, it does just fine.
Yes. The other thing is I love Paul Rudd. I have since I first saw him on screen. So he's always been this guy that's in every single romantic comedy type movie, like an American movie. And so I've seen him in, this, of course, but all these weird movies too, the Wet Hot American Summer, and he's also been in Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin, all those movies, and he's just always been and Ant-Man. How can we forget Ant-Man? So
we could never, frankly. No, I was gonna say anything that Paul Rudd's in, I'm probably gonna love. He's just so GD charming. Plus, since it's based off of Jane Austen's Emma, of course that story has aged well. It just does age well,
Yes.
We're still watching adaptations of the original writing. And I guess this would be considered that too, but it's not so literal. You know what I mean?
Right. And anyway. I did watch the 2020 Emma around the same time. So I was able to kind of think, what kind of interpretation is this? Is it faithful or not? And it really was pretty good in terms of sticking to the same type of storyline. They obviously have some things that are different, but overall, I was really impressed by the ability to stick to the story.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so should we get into it?
Sure.
Brilliant. Okay, so Cher is 15 going on 16. She is a Beverly Hills lawyer's daughter. She has mega privilege and she sort of knows it, but mostly she just is very sweet and very clueless, honestly. But she thinks that she's got the best ideas about the world. What did you think about this opening scene?
So one of the first things I noticed was how 90s it was.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, for her to pick out clothes on this old computer sim, it just feels like it was probably really cutting edge then. And then now it's hilarious to see, how analog it feels. And then just the opening just montage of just her showing her real life. And then you seeing phones with antennas. And then her with her at the West Side Pavilion, which in LA is now defunct and is turning into office buildings now as of 2 years ago. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So, and it was the place to go. And I remember how, there's a lot of teenagers that hung out there and also UCLA kids. And it was just amazing to see, that be vibrant again on screen. And then handwritten report cards is also hilarious to me. So I was thinking, whoa, I don't know how this movie's going to age. But, later on you pick up the story and it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So in one of these opening scenes, her dad is talking to her and he tells her that her stepbrother is coming to visit because he's going to school nearby or something like that. Because he's in his freshman year of college. And so she's like, ugh, like you were barely married to his mom and he's such a smelly boy. And like, why? And her dad in like this one of two moments of absolute wisdom in the whole movie, because her dad kind of sucks. Yeah. Her dad is like, you divorce wives, not kids. Yes. And I was like, oh, damn, that's great. This is awesome.
He is
I don't know why I was so impressed by that, but I really was.
And you almost think he's going to be a nice guy throughout the movie.
Exactly.
But he says some zingers, and it's hilarious, though, what he says. But, I mean, yeah, he has his moments to shine.
But what we do learn is that they barely know each other. They did not grow up together, and their parents were barely married. Okay, you guys? So just keep that in your back pocket. Okay. And then she goes and picks up her friend Dion. Dion is one of the two main side characters who are Black. And their friendship is really cute. But on the rewatch, I felt kind of squicky about the portrayal of Dion and Murray.
Yes, I
Very
did too.
yuck about it.
I did too. There's a few things of ick. I mean, later on you see that, Josh is 18 or 19 probably.
Yeah,
he's college
he's
age
18.
and she's 15 and going on 16. So it's it has some moments of trying to just get through the movie and be like, okay, in theory there are things that work and don't. But yes, the Dion and Murray, I felt like that watching it and have Murray, some of the things that come out of his mouth are a little unsettling, but that part didn't age so well.
Totally. Because Murray and Dion, Cher's whole thing is that she doesn't know why Dion is with him. She thinks that Dion can do a lot better, and their relationship is very fraught. And it's always like Dion worried that Murray is cheating on her, and it's like they're always going back and forth about not trusting each other, and no other couple in the whole film is portrayed like that.
Yes.
And it felt a little racial to me. Wasn't sure, but it felt really yuck.
Yes. They have moments of levity later on, and that is a relief. So there are moments, though, that are nice, and especially at the party when she threatens to call the mom, and I just start laughing because it's any boy's nightmare.
And Murray's absolutely academic zinger about how street slang is becoming more accepted and how the term woman is sometimes used in a misogynistic way, but not always, was such a moment for me. I was like, snaps to Murray. That is incredible. Okay, so sorry. Cher is in debate class, you guys, and it is simultaneously super abysmal and incredibly charming.
Sorry, I'm still laughing because that's the debate scene. Both debate scenes are.
Yeah.
the other one too. This one was really crazy because honestly, when I first saw it, I didn't actually understand what she was saying when I first saw it. The
Hadians?
It wasn't until the rewatch that I realized what she's trying to say, Haitians. But the first time I really didn't know even what she was talking about because it was so outlandish that she was talking about anything like this that was supposed to be deep, and it just went over my head when I was younger. But this time I knew what she was talking about. There's no RSVP on the Statue of Liberty.
That's right, you guys. I mean, that is a nugget of wisdom out of Cher. Sure, right? It does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty, you guys.
Right.
So her teacher does not think she's cute at all. And she finds out that she has a C in debate, which at first to her comes as a total shock. And then later on, we find out that she's getting C's in several of her classes. So is it just debate that she thinks she's incredibly good at? Or like, where do you think this surprise comes from? I don't know why it stuck out to me in this way, but I was like, lady, it sounds like you're getting a C average. What's the deal? I don't know.
I'm guessing that throughout her, she'll be a junior, I guess, or
sophomore.
Rising sophomore. Yeah, she's a sophomore. Yeah. I'm guessing that she had just gotten by this whole time with being able to negotiate up, and maybe, and she's used to doing that. So I guess her C has always been a potential A, with just a lot of effort.
Right.
Like the A for effort is actually the negotiation part. I don't know. It's so strange.
Oh, well, now that I think about it, her dad is a lawyer and he puts a lot of emphasis on creating arguments and argumentation in general. So I guess she would be surprised that in debate class she was doing badly.
Yes, he's a litigator too. So he's a arguer by nature.
Yeah, completely. Okay, so then Josh arrives at her house and she tells her dad that she doesn't want to show him her grades yet because she's not done negotiating. And Josh sort of jabs at her and he's like, I don't know why you think that you'd be able to, get this to be better. And she's like, well, maybe because I do it all the time. And she makes fun of his music and his flannel shirts. And he changes the station to news, and she is not about that. Their dynamic is very cute at the beginning, but it is incredibly antagonistic.
Yes. I love their banter. And I think later on, she says something about his complaint rock.
Oh.
Yes. And that made me laugh. Like, that's way later on, but she just has a way of talking about him that is, the tree hugging kind of that, do-gooder. And she also sees him as ick stepbrother. And so I've always thought that they have this banter that first of all, because I love Paul Rudd, I was like, why can't Cher be me? But
yeah, right.
But they're just so funny together because they're from different worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is, even when they're super mean to each other, there is a very good-natured undertone that I always appreciate, at least in portrayals like this.
Yes.
I don't know. It's important to me, especially because it seems like I think the good-natured undertone sort of takes out the power dynamic that would exist between them in any other scenario. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's very clear that the dad also respects him by inviting him to help him out at work, and also her. So I think they all do respect each other deep down, even if they poke fun at each other and rip each other apart verbally, because these one-line zingers that just fly through the movie are just fantastic. And I've just throughout the whole movie, they've had a great dynamic. And even the dad, he's also huge on the comic relief.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Every time he barks something at someone, it is hilarious. Okay, so Cher needs to get her grades up, and she manages with every teacher except for Mr. Debate Teacher. I think everyone should, we need to note it for the record that he is the actor, oh God, what was his name in The Princess Bride?
I can't remember either.
He was the guy that dies of poisoning. The inconceivable. That guy.
Inconceivable guy.
It's him.
Who doesn't change looks-wise.
No, at any age. I think he looked like that at 15. I'm certain of it. Okay, so Dion says that he's miserable and he just wants to make everybody else miserable. And so they're like, we gotta get him some booty. That's the only thing that will help. Yes, we're brilliant. We need to set him up with another teacher.
Yes, and I think they refer to it as a major boink fest.
Yes, a major boink fest is the only thing that's going to turn that frown upside down. And
I might have to use that in some upcoming writing because that also is a gem.
Yeah, that has aged very well. Major boink fest, still funny. Okay, so Mrs. Geist, who is maybe the English teacher, maybe the environmental studies teacher. I don't know what she teaches.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah. She might just be like the English teacher who's very interested in current environmental activism. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
But she seems like a really good option, even though in Cher's mind, she needs a major makeover. But they put roses in her school mailbox from a secret admirer. And Cher writes down a quote, a famous quote. And Dion's like, where did you get that? And she's like, it's from Cliff's Notes. It's good
Do
stuff.
they even have Cliff's Notes anymore?
I feel like they don't. I think
they
it's
have
Spark Notes now?
Yeah, Spark Notes.
Spark Notes?
But, that also is one of those things that straight from the 90s.
Yeah, completely. Okay, and then now it's time to go to Mr. Debate Teacher's class. And he's going through everybody's tardies. And he tells Travis Birkenstock that he has the most tardies of anybody. And low-key hunk, like out of left field, dreamboat, Travis Birkenstock gets up and he does this whole acceptance speech for how he has the most tardies. And can I just say, this is the first time upon watching it this time, I realized that his last name was Birkenstock.
I actually forgot too. And yes, upon rewatch, because I always had him in my mind as the skateboard guy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
that's
Travis
all he was to me.
Guy.
But on the rewatch, he was more charming in my opinion. And yeah, I agree. And then when it came to Birkenstock, genius also.
I mean, genius. And it's just tossed in there. Oh, so good. And then Cher says that Cher has 2 tardies, but she's like, I only have 1 because the other one was because I was super on my period. And he's like, ugh, lady business. I don't want any inconceivable. I don't want anything to do with that. And she's like, wow, Mr. Debate Teacher, that is so nice of you. Mrs. Geist was super right about you. You are the only person in this school with any kind of intelligence. And boy, is he charmed.
Very, very charmed.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of a charmed boner right there. It's good stuff. All right, so then next scene, she's gotten 2 tickets. And her dad is telling her that she can't drive anymore without a licensed person in the car. Which I was like, wow, Dad, that's harsh. And then I realized that she only has a permit? Suzanne.
She is 15, right?
Yeah, I mean, it went right out of my brain. But on the rewatch, I was like, what the fuck is she doing driving around in the first place?
Well, and then especially when you see her later on behind a wheel, or actually even, you're just like, how did she even get out and go rogue?
Yeah, in the opening scene, she's got like 6 people mashed into her Jeep. Yeah. Like this is unlawful, litigator dad. What are you doing these days? Anyway, so she's like, oh, what am I going to do? I don't have anybody to go driving with me. So she gets Josh, you guys. Josh has got to help her drive. And it's nice. It's good stuff. But while they're driving, he's like, I've got to go back to campus because I'm going to what is it called? The Tree Planters?
Oh, gosh, yes.
It's a terrible name for a club.
It was.
Boy. I mean, it's very descriptive. Good job there, I guess. But it's super low on the cleverness factor. Anyway, he says that they are maybe going to get Marky Mark to plant a tree. And this is another way in which this film has not aged well.
Not at all.
Because, listener, this is your semi-regular reminder that Mark Wahlberg is racist trash who has been definitely convicted of at least one hate crime.
Yes.
And the rest of them are mostly just allegations from when he was a teen. Corroborated allegations.
Right.
Against multiple races. This isn't like, I mean, not that it makes it any better, but I just want everybody to know the weight and breadth of this situation. Because I don't understand how he ever had a career, Suzanne.
I was thinking that too. And at what point did he go from Marky Mark to Mark Wahlberg? You know, I
mean, I guess when he left the Funky Bunch, question mark?
Maybe that's what it was. Because I was like, he was this rapper, dancer, you know, guy. And then all of a sudden, he's now in movies and things, and then changed his name. And he also made a comeback. He disappeared. Was he out there being racist and committing crimes? On the down low? Is that what?
Yeah.
And then he came back? Because it was a big gap.
Right. Totally. I mean, I guess. So most of these things happened, the ones that we know about, right? Because there absolutely has to be more with the pattern that we've seen in just the ones that we know about. But they were between the ages of, I think, 15 and 18. And then he claims that he then like left whatever gang he was in and like turned his life around or whatever. But my issue, because I do think that people need a second chance, or, you know, people are allowed to grow. That is a good thing. We want people to grow and learn. But Mark Wahlberg has spent way more time attempting to cover up his crimes and like distance himself from his crimes than actually making any meaningful change or efforts or apologies or anything. Like, he nearly blinded a man in one of his attacks. And nobody knows about it.
Right.
It's an absolute travesty. So now, Heaving Bosoms is just your reminder, guys.
Yes.
Marky Mark sucks.
And do not download any of his Marky Mark songs.
Nobody watch any Mark Wahlberg movies. Stop it.
None of that.
Stop it. Yeah.
Stay away.
Don't
not put
watch
more
any
money in
Marky
that
Mark
guy's
films.
pocket.
Fuck that guy. Okay.
F him.
Yeah. So anyway. All right. So then he tells Cher, like, well, at least this celebrity, who is no longer going to be named, wants to maybe use his popularity for good. Like, you could do that too. And Cher says, oh, I am totally going to break for animals once I get my driver's license. And I also got 2 teachers to maybe start boning. And he basically says, like, I'm sure you're benefiting from that. And he says, if I ever saw you do anything that wasn't 90% selfish, I'd die of shock. And her response is, oh, well, that would be reason enough for me. I just love their banter. It's so good.
They are geniuses, the writers for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So then she and Dion have this plan to get Mr. Debate Teacher and Mrs. Geist together. I don't know what his name is. Apparently in any iteration of his roles, because he's the inconceivable guy and Mr. Debate Teacher.
That will be how we refer to him going forward, because I don't remember either. It's infuriating.
There we go. Okay, so they offer him some like coffee, and he's like, wow, you youngins, this is so nice of you. And then they're like, maybe you should share it with Mrs. Geist. And then they grab Miss Geist and they like prettify, they like take her jacket off. I don't know. They do things to her to make her look a little better, ? And they send her off to a bench, and then they get those two together and they have coffee.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's when they're watching them, Dion and Cher, and they say that her legs are crossed toward him.
Yeah,
and that means it's an unequivocal sex invite. And I remember thinking, when I watched it the first time, I was like, "Oh, is that what that means?" Like, totally writing notes, you know, like, "Oh, that's how you show interest to a guy," you know, like as if it was teaching me something.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to make a quick note. I don't mean to keep being a downer, but like, the R word is used in this scene in a way that is not great and did not age well.
Also did not age well, yes.
Yeah. No using the R word. Everyone. You know that, though. Oh, and then he gets her digits. He asks her for her phone number. And then they say, they say, oh, old people can be so fun sometimes. They're like so cute.
So sweet.
So sweet. Oh, it's so cute. Oh man, one of my friends, actually friend of the pod, Tanya, she's been on an episode or two. She's a college professor, and we were on the phone the other day, and she told me that one of her students in a comm class came up to her after class, and she was like, Professor, with everything that you know, with all that you know, how do you enjoy anything anymore? She's like having her moment of like awakening. She's like, how do you like anything anymore? And Tanya was like, oh, sweetie, I like a lot of things. Like sometimes you just have to turn off that part of your brain or like acknowledge it and then move on. But you can still find enjoyment in the world like we are in Clueless right now.
Yes. I really thought there was a huge difference between young love and older people finding love. Like when I was watching this early on, first time around, like I didn't even know they would have dates and things. Like I just never, because when you heard of people getting remarried or people going, dating and that sort of thing when you were younger, it just sort of happened and they were together. But I didn't even think that they courted each other or anything. I just thought it was like some sort of like agreement that between two parties that they just decide to start a relationship, and it's almost transactional versus actually based on anything.
Oh my gosh, Suzanne. Clueless woke up your knowledge about middle-aged romance?
Yes, it did.
Oh, what a beautiful awakening.
It really was. I didn't ever question it or think about it. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, they're going on dates. They're drinking coffee together.
Yeah, totally. And then you learn that nugget about pointing your knees at dudes.
Yes.
I mean, geez.
Exactly. There's a lot of learning here in this movie. You guys take notes. Watch it, but ignore all the, bad parts, but definitely take notes of all the good and funny parts.
Yeah, completely. Oh, and then everyone gets good grades now, and we watch them like make out at their car like teenagers, and it is so cute. I love everything about it. Oh, and then whatever his name is, the Elton.
Yes.
Yeah, he keeps on like kissing her on the cheek and hugging on her every time a teacher does something good because they're now, having some major boink fests. Okay, so now her dad is very, very proud that she argued her grades up. Probably more proud than if she actually just got the grades. And now Cher's inspired to do more good deeds. And that is really wonderful because then unfortunate Brittany Murphy arrives.
Yes. And in the Emma movie, that is Harriet, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's her pal, Harriet.
I remember thinking like, wow, they did a really good job of adapting her as well. Because she's a bit of a hot mess in the Emma movie as well. But enter Ty, the Good Deed Project.
Brittany Murphy arrives. Ugh, Ty arrives. It's so wonderful. And Cher decides that she's going to adopt her and fix her up and use her popularity for good. And I love that Dion is like, ugh, I don't really want to use my popularity for good. But she quickly turns around because Ty rules.
Yes.
Ty goes to lunch and meets Travis Birkenstock.
Oh, Birkenstock.
And you guys, they're a match made in heaven. They have great chemistry.
Yes, the chemistry is amazing.
Loves her drawings of Marvin the Martian. He immediately offers her weed like any gentleman would. And it's just magical. So she runs over and gushes to Cher and Dion. And they're like, Cher goes, okay, I'm 1 month older than you. So I just need you to know that it's one thing to light up a doobie at a party. But it's quite another to be baked all day. And then she talks about how the Lodies, I did not remember that term either.
Yeah.
The Lodies hang out over on the grassy knoll and no respectable girl actually date them.
So sad.
It is really sad because for the next 3 scenes, she's into Travis Birkenstock and he is into her for the whole movie.
Yes, the entire movie, and he's so adorable.
God, he is such a golden retriever in every good way.
Right.
Oh, he's so yummy. God, what a dreamboat. Okay, so now you guys, we get a classic 90s makeover montage. Suzanne, my one question for you is, what the fuck are they washing out of her hair? What is it?
I don't know, and it just keeps coming out. Like,
what is that red?
It was like endless strings.
And comes out that easily. It's incredible.
Right. I was like, is that like equivalent of the hair chalk they have for kids now? I don't understand what it is and
is it
why.
Actual Kool-Aid?
I don't. That's a good question. But her hair's so dark, so I don't know how it even stayed. I don't understand. But they showed it, and it was...
It's movie magic.
It was.
It really is. And Brittany Murphy in that scene, just like cackling as they're drying off her hair, she is so charming.
Oh my gosh. She's charming, and then her accent is just cute.
It is wonderful. It's edible.
And then later on, you hear her sing, and she's adorable there too. When she's
my gosh, she's so talented.
Yes, you see it all there. She's the whole package.
So Josh sees her mentoring Ty about like getting your buns tight and also using the word sporadic and stuff. And she's like, okay, well now, we've done a good thing for our bodies and our minds. Now we have to do a good thing for our soul. And she asked Josh what like good thing they could do. And he looks at her and she goes, sterilization. Which is one of the best lines in a movie ever. It's so good.
And he says it's all straight faced, just like no burst out into laugh. It's just all these zingers.
And Ty bursts out laughing at that.
Oh yes, she does.
She is a person with sense. Okay, so we're back at school and Travis invites Ty specifically to a party. Not all three of them, but Ty specifically to a party in the valley. And Cher and Dion are both like, no, you can do so much better. And Cher says, Ty, you've got something huge going for you. And Ty goes, oh, I'm not a virgin. And Cher's like, mystery, Ty. You could be a naturally popular person and nobody would know. Like, you've got mystery going for you. Oh, it's so good. Okay, and then Cher and Dion decide that Elton is her man.
Yes.
Very excited.
He's interesting because they introduce him earlier on as the guy that just asks to go to the bathroom or whatever all the time. They're like ask for a hall pass.
Yeah.
And every school scenes. And then later on you get to know him better and you reveal more about him. But I had so much trouble trying to place that actor. Because you'd seen him before, because his face is familiar. And I was like, who is that guy? But he's in a lot of things, and it's Jeremy Sisto. And I remember him from Law & Order years ago, just watching him in a few episodes. And I was like, God, that guy's everywhere, too. So this whole cast is all, all-star. We forgot to mention that Cher is the mom on Babysitter's Club.
Cher is? Oh, on the current Babysitter's Club?
Yes.
Well, I mean, she's Alicia Silverstone.
Yes. Alicia Silverstone is the mom of one of the daughters in Babysitter's Club. The reboot.
Awesome.
Because she's one of those actresses where you are watching it and you're like, she looks so familiar. So the timing is perfect.
Yeah,
watching this movie, seeing the Babysitter's Club, and then chatting with you because it's unreal. She just came back on Babysitter's Club, and she's like a funny person on that show too. I mean, that reboot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. Well, and the guy who plays Elton, I always get him mixed up with James Franco.
Yes.
So it's tough because they both look like knockoff versions of each other. Okay, where are we?
We're talking about the Valley Party. And then also, we forgot to mention that they are using the Thomas Guide to get around back then. They had no GPS. So they're like looking at a physical map and getting all confused. I was like,
fully
another
looking at a map.
Dated thing.
That is hard times. I think I only had to do that like twice. And it was rough. It was a rough. Oh, but we did forget the photo session.
Yes.
We just have to, I mean, it's sort of a non-issue, but they have like a group together and Cher is taking photos of everyone and she has to like coerce Elton into putting his arm around Ty, and then he asks for a copy of a photo of just Ty, this is one of the things from the Emma origination that made a metric fuck ton more sense in Emma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
It makes a lot more sense for the guy to be like, this is a painting that you did with hours and your natural talent and like a blah, blah, blah. Instead of Elton in this one being like, I'm going to hang up a picture of this other chick.
Yeah, I have to say that was totally confusing to me because I think up to that point they had more vibes with each other. And so when I saw him ask for that, I actually remember thinking, maybe he's not as into her. Maybe he is into the new girl. And it really did.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the plan, they fooled me, you know.
Totally. Okay, so now, they're going to a party in the valley. And Ty now knows that Elton has this photo of her hung in his locker. So everyone is very excited about it. Yet they use that Thomas guide on the way. And Dion and Murray are like shouting at each other the whole time, which like you can't not do when you're attempting to read a book map like that. Right. Like it doesn't matter the couple. Somebody is going to shout when you're trying to get directions off of a map like that. And then Cher's like coaching Ty. And she says, you got to make sure you leave him wanting more and like try to be in his eye line, but like talking to other dudes so that you look really desirable. Cher thinks she's really good at dating. And as they're walking in, Travis, the unexpected hot sauce, comes out on the front yard and he does this whole skateboard trick he does like a Rayleigh or something. Is Rayleigh the word? Is that what the kids are saying these days, Suzanne?
That sounds right to me. And that's all that's important. Yes.
I mean, really. Yeah, this is just you and me. Nobody else is here. Not thousands of other people. It's just you and me. We're good.
Yes.
Anyway, so Ty is like so completely impressed. And she's like, whoa, did you see that cool Rayleigh he just did? I'm certain that's the term. And Cher's like, leave him alone with his Rayleigh. He can do that on his own. We have to go find Elton. Okay, so then Travis ruins Cher's satin shoes in his race to get Ty a beer.
Yeah, I know.
He just wants to get her a beer.
Right.
He's just such a puppy. He just wants to get it, and he wants to help, and he wants scratches. He's so cute.
He's adorable, and through that scene, I was so sad for him. I mean, not that scene, but through that whole, just see him get turned down
throughout the whole party
over time. Oh,
it was so sad
because he's so sweet.
And like just getting like more and more let down as the party goes on and confused. Oh man. Anyway, okay, so he ruins Cher's shoes and Cher's like, I've got to get my new shoes. And he offers them weed to make up for it because again, he is nothing if not a gentleman.
Right.
You know? He's gonna make it right. And then okay, correct me if I'm wrong, we never find out the Asian side character's name.
I was just going to mention that.
I had to look it up.
I did too. I did the same thing.
Her name is Summer.
She's brought up one other time, and that was during the photo session. She's in the ensemble.
On, she like, yeah. Later on, she has like one line asking about something that Ty did. Yeah. Justice for Summer. Summer's awesome. Summer has all the best ideas, and her name is Summer, you guys. So anyway, Summer comes up and she's like, you guys, we have to play Suck and Blow. Did you ever play this as a teenager? Were you fortunate enough?
I did not play that game. I think I've played other random games that also do not make sense. But yes, that one I was really intrigued by, though, because I was like, Suck and Blow, what's that? And then, I'm taking notes. Had to remember this one.
I was a very unfortunate high schooler, and so I never played a game like this in high school. But yeah, you take a card and you put it on each other's lips until somebody named Elton conveniently drops it so that he can kiss somebody named Cher. That's how my understanding of how the game is played.
Yes.
So all you Eltons and Chers out there, get stoked. Okay, then Murray shaves his head at a party. You guys, this party is all over the place.
I know. And, you've been to plenty of parties where, there's no parental person, but how does head shaving happen in the bathroom like that? Like,
right? How does that even start?
I don't know.
Like, who grabs their friend and is like, I just bought a new Bic. Let's go.
Right.
We're going to Bic your head. What?
Yeah.
I don't know how that started.
I don't know if they found the razor or they were like, I brought it with me because who knows, it's a cool party game. But it happened, and it was very unpredictable in terms of, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, Dion's pissed.
Yeah.
And she's like being a drama queen in the bathroom. She's calling his mom, which was a stroke of genius and comedy genius, frankly, both. So then Cher's dad calls her and he wants her home and she can't tell him where she is. And so she gets poor Summer, who never gets a name, to also leave with Elton and Ty. And there's this whole this is great scene of her trying to get Ty in the car with Elton and him being like, no, Cher, you need to come with me. It makes way more sense. And then finally they get in the car together. And this is when we find out all about Elton.
Yes.
And the dumpster fire that he is.
He is an awful, awful person. After that, though, the whole scene, they're going back and forth on locations. And I live in LA, and I was like, some of these places are really, I mean, they obviously live in a very fancy area, but it took me a while to process all of the streets and the side streets and stuff. But yeah, it was like rapid fire.
Yeah, but yeah. And the moment her dad was like, any place in LA takes 20 minutes. I was like, bullshit, Dad. Like, maybe.
In my notes, I wrote, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, like, what?
Maybe in the pandemic, but not. But it is funny that they keep making fun of the valley and then act like it's so far away that it's like another country almost.
Yeah.
In terms of culture.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So he comes on to her super strong and she keeps trying to talk up Ty. That's what happens. And he keeps trying to steer the conversation back to her. So she's like, I really want to see you settled. I know your last breakup was really hard. And he's like, yeah, you're one of my best friends. And I don't call girls friends. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, yeah. And so Ty, and your happiness is really important to me. And so Ty, and he's like, wow, my happiness is really important to you. I knew it. And he super tries to make out with her. And she rebuffs him immediately and forcefully. And she's like, what are you doing? What's happening? You're in love with Ty. You have her picture in your locker. And he's like, I have a picture that you took in my locker. And I'm like, cool story, bro. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't. It's still confused. I agree with her. It doesn't make sense to have another girl's picture in your locker and you be interested in me. Doesn't make sense.
It's so funny. Okay. So then she's like, you got to stop trying to kiss me. And he won't stop trying to kiss her. It happens 7 times.
Yeah.
And so she gets out and he's like, get back in the car. And she does the dramatic, no, leave me alone. And he calls her bluff and he fucks off. He just peels out of the parking lot.
He's the worst. And also, he says that thing of, don't you know who my father is? And it's just such a douchey, gross thing to say. Ugh. He's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, he totally leaves her in a liquor store parking lot. It's not even let me drop you off at a nice hotel. It's like, let me leave you literally in the worst possible place.
Uh-huh. And so she gets mugged at gunpoint. And one of the best parts of this is this guy is not a super competent mugger at all.
No.
And he's like, okay, lay on the ground, please. And she's like, oh, I can't ruin my dress. And so he's like, no, you got to get on the ground though. And he's like, count to 100. And she does her patented Cher, she's laying down. And I shouldn't have found it charming, but I definitely did. What did you think?
So this is a hard scene in terms of you shouldn't laugh as somebody's getting mugged at gunpoint. But her commentary while she is getting mugged, where it's clearly fiction and not real, where she's trying to explain to him that her dress is from a totally important designer. And she can't get on the ground. And he's basically like, you will. And she does. And she's miserable, partly because she's getting mugged, but also, oh no, the dress. It's like, this weird.
This isn't Alaya or something like that.
Woe is me.
Yeah.
This is ruining my dress. And she had the shoe incident earlier. It's a miserable time for Cher. Yeah.
Yeah, she's had a very bad day. Okay,
Right.
so now, guess who she has to call, everybody? She has to call Josh. She's gotta call Josh. He's gonna save the day. So he's like in full makeout. I mean, like they're going for belt buckles and stuff.
Yes.
And he gets this call, drops everything, gets in the car, and comes to get her.
With the makeout girl in the car.
Yeah, he brings makeout girl.
Yeah.
So makeout girl on the way home is being very pretentious, except she's also kind of bad at it. Yeah. And then she says, just as Hamlet said, to thine own self be true. And Cher calls her on it. She's like, Hamlet didn't say that. And the girl's like, I'm sorry, I think I remember Hamlet correctly. And then Cher, classic line goes, well, I think I remember Mel Gibson correctly. And it was totally the Polonius guy who said that, not Hamlet. And Josh is low-key impressed. It's really cute. He does that Paul Rudd, like, tiny smirk, and then he looks in the rearview mirror. Ooh.
That's when your heart just is like ba-boom, ba-boom, because you love him at that point. Because he's willing to get past his own pretentiousness in that way to be on Cher's side. And you're like, ah.
Yeah, and see that she has a really good point.
Yes.
No matter her presentation.
And Makeout Girl was
the
wrong.
The point is good.
Makeout Girl was just wrong.
Yeah.
And then this is all while Counting Crows is playing. So that's the other thing.
I did not pick up on that detail, and you're amazing.
I just thought it was so funny that it's like all to this, it's very 90s because of all of the backdrop, but also the music was just right on point.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So when they drop off Makeout Girl, he goes up to her door, and like does an apology makeout. And Cher's pretty mad about it. She's like, how can my life be so terrible while everybody else is doing great? And so she's like very tense. She doesn't know what to do about Ty. And Ty is crushed over Elton and the way that he likes Cher, or liked Cher, I guess. And then they go on a shopping spree to a retail therapy, I think people call it. And Ty learns that Cher and Dion are both virgins. Yeah. And Ty is like very shocked. And then she cries because a song that she and Elton danced to came on. And Cher is like, I need to find her a replacement. Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do?
Oh my gosh, that scene when they're having their calorie fest. It was funny to hear things when I watched it this go around, where they reveal things like Cher hates mussels, and then she's saving herself for Luke Perry, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is just
my gosh,
too much. Yes, all these things that are coming up about her that are just so funny to me because. Josh is...
Because they point straight to Josh.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So now the next scene is Cher's like, I gotta find Ty a replacement boy. Christian arrives at school. He's smooth. He's dapper. He's fit. He's fine. And she's like, or I guess I could find me a boy. It doesn't have to all be about Ty. And so... when Christian arrives at school, I mean, this was my section of the how-to that is Clueless. Because she was like, knock the pen off the table so that he can look at your legs. And as Christian comes up, he's like, nice stems. Because as her dad says, he's like a member of the Rat Pack reincarnated. And then I never like sent myself flowers because we didn't have money like that.
Right.
But doing that thing where you like try to show off your shoulder or something in middle school, man, rough times. Rough times trying to follow the Cher playbook. Ugh. If only I had known. It's a terrible playbook.
Yeah, and apparently it doesn't work. So you're not missing out too much.
No. Spoiler alert, it especially doesn't work on gay men.
You're right.
So
right.
Don't try that out there.
Especially in that sense, yes. I looked up Christian as an actor. I don't know if you did that, but did you look him up?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, he didn't do much of anything else after Clueless, and even more random is that he owns like a cantina or some like restaurant somewhere in
Really?
California. Yeah, so you could totally go there and see Christian, I guess. But he looks very different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, with those dance moves, I would hope he owns a cantina or something.
I was impressed that he, got out of show business and did something else. It was, but I was, I wasn't expecting that, I guess. But yeah, he's got a whole different career
completely.
Now. No more Rat Pack for
that's
Christian.
Really cool. Well, he was very good in this role. So
I agree. He was
all right.
fantastic.
So at one point, he's like, "Hey, doll, maybe you have the skinny on some local clam bakes going around or something. I don't know." He was a lot. And she's like, "Yeah, I know about this party that we can go to." So he's going to go pick her up. And she's ready. Everybody's working down in the like living room or whatever downstairs in her house because her dad has picked up a huge case and like Josh is there. It's all hands on deck for this litigation. So she's like yelling down in her whiniest voice, being like, "Can somebody get the door? Please. He needs to wait for me." Ugh. It's delicious.
It is.
So Josh goes to get the door. And Christian comes in like sort of haughty and he like takes off his coat or whatever. And Josh is not impressed. And then her dad is not impressed. Mm-hmm. But then she comes down the stairs in this white mini dress. And Josh, you watch him identify her as a sexy woman for the first time.
You see the wow in his eyes.
And then he leans over to the dad and he's like, "You're not going to let her go out like that, are you? Like, come on, man." And the dad's like, that's a good point. You need to put something on. And so she puts on a see-through coat. It's one of my favorite things.
I had a coworker that did that. Somebody gave her, somebody at work gave her feedback on her wardrobe. And all she did was wear a cardigan over it, full-length cardigan that had very large holes. And I remember thinking, she did cover up, but it was
incredible.
It was impressive how, like, she skirted around their rules and went for that. Yes.
Good job. Stay true to yourself.
Exactly. I was impressed.
Nice work. Love it. Love to see it. All right. So then Josh is like, I think that somebody should go keep an eye on Cher. I should go do that. And I'll do this for you, Daddy-O. This is just for you, you know? And the dad's like, yeah, sure, go. And this is when you can see the dad knows.
Yes.
The dad knows, and he's all about it.
I actually had to do like the replay to see the face. I was like, that's when he knows. It's like, I'll watch her for you. Okay, you do that. Smirk. And I was like, okay, he's in. He knows. Dad knows.
Yeah, he does a big old knowing smirk. I mean, if that's not fatherly approval, I don't know what is. So then at the party, like, Ty is there too, and Cher and Christian are having a great time. They're like dancing up a storm, but Ty is having a bad time. She falls immediately upon getting there. Nobody
down the
seems
stairs.
to want to dance with her.
And it's like a big deal.
Yikes.
And I remember thinking at that point, I totally relate to Ty. I would be the person that has a crush on somebody and then kind of present myself and then tumble down the stairs, like arms and legs all over the place. Yes. And then everyone coming to rush to me. Are you okay? Like that's me.
Yeah. Oh, same. Just a bull in a china shop. This one. It's good. Oh. So the rest of the time, nobody will dance with her. And then finally, Josh shows up and he hangs back for a minute. And then he goes over and dances with Ty and like makes her feel comfortable and welcome and everything. Meanwhile, Christian is flirting with a lot of boys.
Yes.
And what's her name? Cher's take on this is, look at how he's not paying attention to any other girls. He's so into me. And I've got to do a big high five to that level of confidence. Right? You know? Wow, Cher. Good job. Know your worth, Cher. Absolutely.
That's also when I started realizing that she really is. I mean, you know the theme is Clueless, but you really feel it in that scene where you're thinking like, how can you not see? It's so
definitely clear. It's so cute.
Yes.
It's so cute.
It is.
So Christian goes to an after party with a bunch of dudes, and Cher goes home with Josh. And so they pick up takeout for the lawyers, and then they veg out together. And this was, I think, my favorite scene. This is my favorite back and forth between them. Because it's so good. She's like brushing her hair. Her voiceover is, I have so much more fun vegging out than I do partying. And I guess it's because my party clothes are so binding. And I'm like, no, you idiot. It's because Paul Rudd is smizing at your side. Jesus.
You're next to him watching TV, eating popcorn. It's the perfect date.
Yeah. And so he asks her how many hours a day she spends grooming herself because she's currently brushing her hair while they're sitting on the couch. And this is where their banter turns because she goes, not everyone is as naturally adorable as you. And then he says, in this inflection, stop it. You're making me blush. And it's just Paul Rudd perfection.
It is.
It's Paul Rudd perfection, Suzanne.
He's already perfect. And he just proved it with that line.
Yeah, completely. So they get like a call from his mom, and he tells Cher that he doesn't want to talk to her because he doesn't want to tell her that he's not coming home for spring break, basically. And she's like, well, you can't just roam around school. You come back here, stay in your old room, hang out with me and dad and like your family. And he goes, what does he say? He says something like, you don't want a brother type hanging around. Mm-hmm. And she very vehemently is like, Josh, you're not my brother. I love a girl who knows her boundaries.
Yeah. And every
Josh,
time,
you're not my brother.
It's weird because every time they just bring it up, it makes me a little nervous, because it's obvious that that's the icky part of the whole movie. And you're like, can you stop saying it? Because otherwise it's perfect matchup. But you're kind of, I
know.
It's like, it's squirmy and uncomfortable. And then they say it a few times and you're like, stop it. Let's pretend that part does not happen.
Yeah, every time they're like, audience, remember, they're not actually siblings. Yeah. I'm like, but you don't have to tell me that they're sibling adjacent again.
Yes. They're sibling adjacent. And then they mention the age difference sometimes. I'm like, stop it. Just don't.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And then it's a perfect movie in a lot of ways. And at least how the romance unfolds. Stop it! But yes, they keep referring to it right when things are close. And I was like, stop. Yep. But, I guess that's what they wanted out of this movie.
Yeah. I will say that I actually didn't mind every time they do that because I am okay with a touch of taboo. Actually, that's a series that Katie Robert is currently publishing. She's doing this whole, it's just one-off every time, and each one is a different sort of quasi-taboo relationship. One of them is her ex-boyfriend's dad. The last one that came out is called Gifting Me to His Best Friend. And it's about this couple who then bring his best friend in for a third. Anyway, I don't mind the taboo stuff, but that's not for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's more like just talking about it a lot and referring to it while they're about to almost make out. It's like, stop. I think that's where I'm like, just, you don't have to say it. We know.
Yep. Hashtag stepbrothers.
Yeah, just go for it. And, we will there'll be whatever, fireworks, but don't keep reminding me of this. It's okay. I know.
Yeah. So then Cher's like, I was expecting Christian to wait the normal 3 days, but he called me the next day. Oh my gosh. He's coming over and he's bringing movies. And so she gets super ready for it. She's going above and beyond, and she's fully ready to have sex for the first time that night. She's gonna have sex with Christian, and she is stoked about it.
She's ready. Yes.
Yeah.
They have a whole makeover and all that.
Yeah.
In preparation.
And she puts a full cookie brick into the oven to bake. I don't know what says love other than putting an entire frozen cookie brick.
Cookie log.
Yeah,
of deliciousness. Log. Yes, it doesn't make sense either, but
I love it. Honestly, that is the kind of teenage shenanigans I would do. I would just not read the packaging. I would be like, this doesn't look like 24 chocolate chip cookies, but I guess it'll magically happen in the oven. And then I would put it in. Anyway.
I would just want a giant cookie. How do I make this happen?
Or Cher, just skip all that or Cher, just skip all that and get that cookie log out and a spoon. You know, just don't even worry about the oven. Anyway. Okay, so then he arrives. She definitely wants to kiss him. She's full, like, puckering subtly. And he's like, is something burning? Because she has forgotten about her cookie log.
Right.
And then when she opens it, he goes, oh, honey, you baked? And she goes, I tried. And then they scamper away and leave the oven open, ?
Right, and smoke just pouring out. Because that's what you do when you've burnt something and your kitchen could catch on fire. I don't understand.
If Erin were here, she would have to do fire safety with Erin. So Bing Boong Bong Fire Safety with Erin. HBs, don't leave your oven open. Don't do that. Also, Bing Boong Bong, tripping in your kitchen, HBs. You know, you're going to turn those lights off and then nobody's going to know that the oven door is open and you're going to trip and fall and break your neck and die. Okay? So just don't. Safety. Everybody, don't be like Cher.
Yeah, don't go be like Cher and grab your guy and then just go upstairs.
Yeah.
Not smart.
So he wants to watch the movies because she says, Christian had a thing for Tony Curtis, so he brought over Some Like It Hot and Sporadicus. Which is one of the best lines.
That is the best. And then that whole scene in the bedroom is just painful to watch, yet just hilarious with her feet being cold.
Oh, it's just magic. Yeah, she's trying so hard to hit on him. She's trying so hard that she falls off the bed, everybody. Right. Like, she's putting elbow grease into this. And at first, he's not getting it. And then when he does get it, he's like, I have 18 other places I have to be right now. And I definitely can't be here anymore. It's so cute and sad.
Yeah.
And then the next day, she's driving in the Jeep with Dion and Murray.
Yes.
And she says that she was fully going to have sex with him. She can't believe she was so capricious about it. And then Murray cackles at her. And he goes through a whole list of gay stereotypes in order to tell Cher. All right, so I actually didn't take a huge amount of offense to this simply because he wasn't saying it in a negative way. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it was clear he wasn't uncomfortable with the fact that Christian was gay. He just thought it was hilarious that she had no idea because he's been so obviously gay to her face since they met. And so to me, it felt way more like him sort of pointing out all the ways in which he has been gay in front of her. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
And
like you've had 36 signs and you didn't pick up on any of them.
That's
I don't know.
Right. 36 signs. And it wasn't even just Cher that didn't see it. It was her and her friends who were egging her on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you have traffic and the freeway scene.
Yeah. They accidentally get on the freeway. Dion is not prepared for it. Everybody's screaming and crying. They finally get off the freeway again. And then as Cher is in the back seat, Dion and Murray do a big ol' adrenaline makeout.
Yes.
Danger makeouts are very cathartic, you know? Everybody's just happy to be alive.
Yes.
It's good stuff. And so Cher's sitting there and she's like, oh, I really do want a boyfriend. Yeah. I want somebody to danger make out with. Mm-hmm. Come on. Who's going to validate my humanity with their penis? That's all I want. So, and then Cher makes a note that Dion's virginity goes from technical to non-existent.
Yes.
It's
he
good
and Murray
stuff.
are a thing now, officially have consummated.
They know each other super biblically.
Yes.
So now they're at the mall. She's at the mall with Christian because he's become one of her favorite shopping buddies. And Ty has a near-death experience with these two trolls who hold her over a balcony.
Oh my God.
Which is legitimately scary.
Yes. How did that even happen? How did she get comfy up there? And I don't understand how that even
Why was
got
she
set
sitting
up
there in the first place?
Yeah, like how did you even think that was even a comfy place to sit to tell your story? And it's at the West Side Pavilion probably. But the whole, the brush with death and, you know, her getting held over by these random dudes. She didn't even know them. It's just doesn't, over the rail. Terrifying. Made me uncomfortable.
It's so scary.
Yeah, scary. Super scary.
Yeah, so now everybody is paying attention to Ty and not Cher.
Yes.
And everybody's like asking her about, what she saw right before she died. And Cher tries to be like, well, I know that when I was held at actual gunpoint, and everybody's like, Ty is talking right now. You need to shut your mouth. And then Travis comes over to try to do a fun spitting trick for her, which would have been very charming 15 minutes ago to Ty. Come on, everybody. He's doing a really impressive spit a thing 6 feet up in the air and then catch it again trick. Who would that not charm? Okay?
And honestly, my mind got caught up in like the difficulty of that. And I was like, is that gum? Is that a Mentos? Like, either way, it's impressive.
I know. Was it perfectly spherical? Because if not, then the impressive factor shoots way, way up.
Right. It seems really hard to do. She should have been madly in love with him after that.
I know. And instead, she's so mean. And she tells him, she says, don't the slackers prefer the grassy knoll over there?
No.
And
you do a good Ty voice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, and so he does a big sad and a big shuffle away. I was very sad. And Cher is super confused because she's living in an alternate reality. Mm-hmm. So now she's getting ready for her driving test and she's incredibly tense and she's snapping at everybody. She's super racist to her El Salvadorian cleaning lady.
Right.
And Josh is right there to see it. Josh is like, what does she say to her? She's like, I don't speak Mexican.
She says, I don't speak Mexican. And he points out she's from El Salvador. Ugh. I know. And then she's like, so? And he explains it's a totally different country. Why? Yeah. He said, you get mad when someone thinks you live below sunset. And it's true. She does. So,
which is quite the LA zinger right there.
Yeah, it was.
That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. So she's upset and distracted for her driving test. And this does not bode well because she's also already an absolutely horrific and unsafe driver. She almost kills a bicyclist. She sideswipes 2 different cars. It doesn't go well.
Yeah. And she blames the biker from coming out.
Yeah. She's like, that biker came out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
And everybody looks at Cher, including me, and says that bike lane was there for miles, Cher. But the whole time she's really distracted because she's thinking that what Josh thinks of her is making her upset.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't understand why I care what Josh thinks in the first place.
Mm-hmm. You start seeing her change.
Yeah.
Feelings are coming through.
Ooh. I know. It's that moment where they don't know what to do with their feelings or even how to identify them. And it's adorable.
Yeah.
So she comes home and Ty is like up close and personal with Josh and they're giggling and playing hacky sack, the most intimate game I can imagine. And Ty, she's like flirting with him and touching his chest and stuff. And Cher comes out and she's like, I failed and like, I don't want a lecture from you. And he's like, geez, I didn't even say anything. Mm-hmm. And then Ty comes in and she's like, I want to burn all the things that remind me of Elton. Which is like incredible. But it's also very close to the original text.
Yes.
So they turn it on and she burns all the things. And then she reveals that she's gotten over Elton very suddenly because she's super into a different guy. Yeah. And that different guy's name is Josh. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no. So Cher's like very kindly trying to dissuade her. Yes. And she's like, I just don't know that you're going to be a good mesh. Like if you're going to mesh well. And then Ty says, why am I even listening to you anyway? You're a virgin who can't drive.
I love your Ty.
Thank you. And then Cher looks at her and she goes, oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
It was a moment. It was a good moment. It's so
a classic drama. Will go down in history moment. You're a virgin who can't drive. It's like, wow. So good. And now, you guys, our protagonist gets to have her dark moment of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes shopping. Because what else are you going to do in a super dark moment of the soul? And she's reflecting.
Yeah.
And she's like, why does she even like him anyway? He's not even cute, ... in a conventional way. And he's a terrible dancer. And meanwhile, there's this montage of Josh just like being Paul Rudd deliciousness.
It is. It's perfection. And to the song All By Myself.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
it's just so
Suzanne,
good.
You with the musical cues over there.
No,
this is top-notch content. Yeah.
But he's kind of a Baldwin, she does say in that same montage.
Yeah, she says he's kind of a Baldwin. And then she goes, and I don't even think he would like her because he needs someone with imagination and someone to take care of him and someone to laugh at his jokes if he ever makes any. And then she has the realization, the lighted fountain goes off behind her head and she's like, oh my God, I love Josh. I'm majorly, totally, but crazy in love with Josh.
That is the scene.
Gosh, it's so good.
It is. It's perfect. It's wonderful.
And now, if you want any indication of what I was like between the ages of about 11 to about 17 and a half around somebody that I liked.
For me, I would keep going up. I'm probably like 21 for me.
Yeah. Once I got to college, I firmly didn't give any more fucks. And so I was just like, yeah, if you like me, cool. And if not, I might not like you. Who knows? And I was just like a goofy person. But until then, this was me. She doesn't know what to do with her hands.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to talk anymore. Like, what did they ever talk about, Suzanne? I don't think that, how did they ever speak to each other?
I don't know. Maybe they just made quips, back and forth quips about shopping and, him planting trees or something. But yeah, it's all awkward and you feel it. You feel every second of awkwardness as a viewer.
Yeah, it's good. And then she's stir crazy and she offers to help her dad with something because she's sort of like haunting his doorway to his office. He's like, Cher, come here. What do you need? And so as she's highlighting calls made on September 3rd throughout a bunch of files, her dad has a big dad moment and he like builds her back up again. Mm-hmm. It's so cute.
But I love how he uses his own, like, what he knows best to try to help her. It's like, tell me the problem and we'll figure out how to argue.
Yeah. And every time she's like, I just don't think he likes me. He's like, how is that possible? That's not possible. He likes another girl over you. No way. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And so now she's decided she needs a makeover of the soul.
Yes.
And there has been a recent natural disaster. And so she's going to collect a bunch of stuff, including but not limited to her skis.
Yes. And red caviar.
Because her dad doesn't like it very much anyway.
Right.
And she's going to take it to all the people who lost all their possessions. And Josh does that. Paul Rudd trying to look down, but he's looking up through his eyelashes and he is smirking and he's low-key impressed. Okay, he's trying to hide it, everybody, but he can't. It's just radiating through his pores at her. Oh, it's so wonderful.
It is so perfect.
Yeah. And then we find out that Travis the Dreamboat then shows up at the collector thing. And he's bringing all this stuff he doesn't need anymore.
Yes.
All of his bongs, you guys. Those disaster victims also need bongs. But he doesn't need them anymore.
Nope.
Because he's in this new club, everybody. He's in this new club and he's got all these steps. And so he tells her he's sorry about her shoes from that party. And it's adorable.
It is.
And with all this clarity, he joined an amateur skateboarding league.
Yes. And he gives her an invite.
Yeah.
And she accepts.
And there's half pipes and cool stuff. And it is really exciting. And so Ty shows up looking a bit like OG Ty. You know, she's got like her cute pigtails and her striped shirt. She doesn't look, I don't know, like an imitation Barbie anymore, which is what Dion and Cher tried to turn her into. I don't know. It's really nice. It's shades of the old Ty coming through. And they make up. They both apologize profusely. It's a big lady love.
Yes.
And then they watch Travis skate. And it's impressive. He's clearly not actually skating, that actor.
No.
He's getting like 6 foot air, I think is probably what it's called. He's getting some air and he's doing those flippy floppies on his skateboard, and it is a big impress.
And whirly twirlies, yes, all those things.
Yeah, and the railies too.
And
props.
the railies.
Jeez. And so Ty is eating it up. Ty's eating it up. And Cher can see that she doesn't give a shit about Josh anymore. And she's very relieved. So now we're back at her house. Cher is helping with more legal stuff. And she and Josh are flirting. And they're flirting hard.
Yeah. It's like the elbowing and the flirties. Oh my God. The banter. Just.
He's calling her Pippi Longstocking because she's got pigtails in, and so she makes sure to take out her hair and then close her eyes and run her hands through her hair like people with straight hair can do. And it's, wow, those silky strands, you know?
Yeah. It's like a hair commercial.
Yes, absolutely. She is an Herbal Essences icon. Then this legal asshole, this lawyer asshole who's across the table from them, it's like, hey, where are the files from August 28th or something?
Oh, gosh. The scene.
So this also, I have a little bit of a logistics question, Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
They need the August 28th files. And Cher says that she checked them for the September 3rd calls.
Yes.
August does come before September, correct?
Yes.
Why would the September 3rd calls be in the August 28th files at all?
I don't know. I'm wondering if it was like a big printout and she previously had highlighted the September 3rd calls and was in September 3rd mode and just like went through everything and did it, and then somehow that was not correct, or they had changed their minds about something because suddenly it's October 28th is the thing. Because I was the same way. I was like, what? You know,
I know.
It's really perplexing.
I know what happened. I'm certain I know what happened. The client is a time traveler. It's the first time traveler. They have to litigate on behalf of the first time traveler, and it is groundbreaking work, obviously. So anyway, he goes off, and he calls her an idiot and a moron, and it's bad. And so Josh stands up for her, and so then lawyer asshole looks at him, and he's like, this is a real live case with big money times and litigation work that has to get done, and it's not an excuse to flirt with a kid, which is like his only point. Point one for asshole lawyer. Don't flirt with a kid, you know? Because right now she is a child, an actual one of those.
Yes.
But that's okay. We're just putting that right out of our brains, right? Because we want to enjoy things still.
We do, but they just keep reminding you.
They do.
Of all the things that are in their mind taboo. And I'm like, stop it. Just let them be. They're supposed to be in love. But but he says it in such a harsh way. It's just
he does.
Quit playing footsie with the dumb kid and all those things. Oh, yeah. And it's just the worst. He's terrible.
Well, and then I keep on saying that this is my favorite back and forth, but this is, I think, one of my favorite back and forths in a movie ever. Josh says, we've been working our butts off in this case. And then lawyer asshole goes, you can do whatever you want with your butts.
Yes.
I'm calling in sick. That's going to be my new tell-off every time. Somebody's going to say something rude to me, and I'm going to be like, well, you can do whatever you want with your butt, okay? I'm out.
It was probably one of the best lines of the whole movie.
Ooh.
So good.
Okay, so he storms out, and then she's sitting at the top of the stairs. And this is the iconic Clueless scene.
Okay, this stair scene is just the one that just really, it's so iconic and also just makes you feel like, it's coming. It's beautiful. It's just, and they're about to finally talk. It's like, yay, it's going to happen.
Yeah, the music changes.
Yes.
The build up with their lines is like so completely natural and gosh, it's lovely. Like this is when your heart gets like arrested in your chest.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. So she's crying and she asks if she really ruined her dad's lawsuit. And he says no, and he walks up and sits down by her and he says that he's going to fix it. Her dad won't lose any time. And then he's basically like, we've been working so hard on this, and it's really messed up for him to say, all of that, like especially about, you and I flirting or whatever. God, came out of left field, And and he's like, it's good experience for me because I want to be a lawyer, but you don't even need to be here. Like you could be shopping or having fun or whatever. And she goes, oh, it's so heartbreaking. It's perfect. This moment is perfectly acted. Because she says, oh, because you just think I'm a ditz with a credit card? Oh. And he's like, no. And he's stammering. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you're young and you're beautiful. And she says, you think I'm beautiful? Oh. And he goes, you're gorgeous and popular, but that's not why I come here. I come here because it's a good learning experience. And because of your dad, I really want to help out your dad because he's the only one who cares about me. Oh. It's like, he's fishing so hard, yes. You guys, and it's so yummy. She says, that's not true. And he goes, are you saying that you care about me? And she goes to like do a flirty push on the arm and she leans in close. And so he kisses her.
The kiss.
It's a great kiss too.
Yes, it is a great kiss.
It's a great kiss.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then the denouement is them at Mr. Debate Coach's and Ms. Geist's wedding.
Yes.
Great. It's great stuff. They're happy forever. They have, a great life together. They get married, I'm certain of it, as soon as it's age appropriate. She's 18 before they actually have penetrative sex, which is, a feat, but they do it. Right. Yeah. Great stuff, you guys.
Yes. The final scene was perfect because it's the whole as if, the whole iconic.
Yeah.
The whole iconic share. And then when she caught the bouquet, literally like pushing people down and grabbing for it for the $200 bet. That was
just so that she can win Josh some monies.
Yeah, exactly. That's love.
That's love. Yeah. All right. I think this was super fun. Thank you for choosing this movie.
Thank you for letting me choose this movie. I love this movie. Maybe if I watch it another, it's like 25 years old. It's really old.
Isn't that bonkers?
It's crazy. I didn't realize it when we chose it, and then
it was what 95.
95, yeah. And then and then the math was a little tricky for me. I was like, that can't be 25 years old. And it didn't really still seem like 25 years old until I saw Alicia Silverstone as a mom in Babysitter's Club, and then it all was like, okay, I could see how this time works. Like, I understand how years progress, and then she is now a different type of actress.
Time is no longer a flat circle to me. Exactly. We're good.
Right.
Awesome. So, do you have a lady love?
Do
you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. Think? I want to hear your lady love.
Uh-oh, I forgot to write down my lady love. Oh, I know what my lady love is. Okay, you guys, here's my lady love. I just got access to HBO again, and it was very exciting. I had already seen seasons 1 and 2 of Insecure, but I had to take a pause while we didn't have HBO, and I just binged seasons 3 and 4 of Insecure.
Wow.
And first of all, that whole show from start to finish is just masterful. Issa Rae is an absolute genius. The whole cast is incredible. But the thing that really, really just made my heart super happy part of season 3 and most of season 4 is the relationship between Moly and Andrew. Moly is a Black woman and she's a lawyer. Andrew is an Asian man. I think he's Chinese and he works at a record company. And just seeing these two get together and they have like this really awesome sex where Andrew is just like, God, he's super sexy in it. And it's just really nice to see depictions of relationships like that and watching them navigate their relationship. It's not NHEA as of right now, so don't go into it expecting that. But it is a really, really beautiful representation of not only getting over a lot of struggles to create a relationship to begin with. Like just, getting over your own ish. Like Molly has a bunch of hangups that she's going through at the moment. And then a really mature sort of like realizing that things aren't quite working at the very, very, very end. I'm sorry, you guys, I don't mean to spoil it, but I don't want you going into it being super hopeful. It's just like, it is so beautiful, even though as of right now, it doesn't work out. So yeah, I just love seeing depictions in media of just like super sexy, competent, awesome, doodly, manly Asian dudes. It's really nice. So that's my lady love.
I like that lady love. I've only seen the first season, so I need to catch up. I know.
Yeah,
I know. And it's one I really enjoyed. And I just completely have been not watching enough TV. So I definitely...
Honestly, it's hard to keep up with all the good TV out there right now.
Exactly.
It's really hard. So I'll end up dropping something and then just binging like I did 2 seasons.
And then for me, it'll be 3 seasons. So that will be great.
There you go.
I need my next fix. So that's perfect.
Do it. Yeah.
For me, lady love wise, I have been, first of all, getting back into watching some Korean dramas, not a lot, but I mean really bad ones, because I had watched some a long time ago, and back to the whole let's see how it aged. And there's one that's called Boys Over Flowers that came out 11 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was really popular then. It's not your typical drama in that it was based on like a Japanese anime or a comic book or something, and
manga,
I find
right?
it like binge worthy, and I need to stop because I've been staying up really late just to watch this again. And I'm like, I need to not watch something again. I need to say watch something new. So I need to, but I think it's just like comfort watching.
Totally.
But the other thing that I've been doing is buying face masks, these Korean face masks.
Ooh,
and
yes, please.
I got a pack of 10 from a family member, and it's like Tony Moly brand. But
okay.
So what's funny about these is like they have different kinds, and they, sometimes they come in a multi-pack, and it's anti-aging or moisturizing or radiance, or they have these like catchphrases. You're like, hey, I need that. I could use some radiant skin. I could use some replenished skin. And then they also come with like, I don't know if it's like flavors or scents, but it's like, I'm lemon and I'm pomegranate. Oh, I'm milk. And there was all the pumpkin, like they're all paired with some sort of vegetable or fruit or some food that kind of, I guess, makes you paired with moisturizing or paired with anti-aging. But in any case, I've been using those the last few weeks, and while I'm watching TV or something, and it's 20 minutes on your face, and then afterwards your skin feels a lot better. So I've been doing a lot of that lately, and it's been good self-care.
So are those like sheet masks?
Yeah, sheet masks.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we had talked before the podcast about just being able to tear things open and not drop them or whatever, and being clumsy. So you kind of have to be really careful because it goes right on your face. But when they come out, depending on what they use to moisturize the mask, it's like sometimes it's gelatinous and sometimes it's like more, it's just hard to pull out and then fold out and then put it on your face. But you get the hang of it after a few times, and it's not as hard. But I would say that that's my go-to now for self-care, and it's sort of pretty instant where you get the results and feel like, oh, my face feels plumper, or it feels like moisturized and healthier. So highly recommended.
How nice. Well, do you want to tell everybody where to find you so they can follow you and keep up and buy your books and all of that?
Absolutely. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at that's my name. I was able to get that. So Suzanne Park.
Oh, right.
SUZANNEPARK. On Facebook, I believe I'm Suzanne Park Comedy. Yes, I think I'm Suzanne Park Comedy. So you can go to that.
Yeah, and then I'll include links to buy the books, both the one that's out and then the pre-order links as well. So HBs, you can check it out there. It'll be in the episode description.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This was so much fun.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. I had a really good time too.
Okay. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love Magic Mike XXL meets the zombie apocalypse. Yes. It's everything I want and more.
Perfect.
All right. Bye. Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.